Boy was blocked as well. Question, I want to add a few things to it. Not just this online block of sites, we've seen a lot of bans of late along with this. We've seen a beef ban, we've seen a book banned on the Hindus. We've seen unofficial bans, if you can call it that, with Perumal Murugan's book not being protected, the man not being protected for being attacked for writing a book. So he says, I'm going to give up writing forever. Can you talk about this environment we're living in? Are we seeing a sort of pincer-like movement when it comes to free speech?
I think looking at the current environment where it is constantly under attack, this is the one time where we need to preserve it. And, people need to speak out. I think the one thing is that no one should feel scared to say something because of fear of, the consequences that the government might come down on. And that was one thing that, was really very heartening, that throughout the 2 years that the case was pending in the Supreme Court, arrests was still being made. I mean, that's bad. But it was really nice to see that people weren't getting scared of saying things, however ridiculous the arrests were for them, I mean, I didn't really find any of them annoying or menacing or anything, but people were still talking, and I think that is what really needs to happen, that, you need to show, look at what happened with net neutrality. Look at that campaign. In a week, over 2 lakh emails were sent. I mean, the power that we have just now is unprecedented. So, that is something that we should exercise and use so that it benefits our society, because it's the laws, they regulate us, they govern us. So we need to, as a society, look and see what we want to protect.
So as we were speaking, there have been a bunch of questions coming to me for both of you. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll read it out maybe and call them out. Section 66A was clearly grossly suppressive of the fundamental right of freedom of expression. But how do you think the government should deal with explicit posts that can flare communal tensions? Or do you think government should not under any circumstances? How do you draw the line, and how do you deal with someone who crosses the line? Who asked this question? Can we have a show of hands? Or can you come up here?
If you'd rather stay anonymous, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Important point. There's no question that if there is something that is the spark in the powder keg, right? That if there is something that actually sparks communal tension, then that is something that should be dealt with. At the first instance, the government can, under Section 69 of the IT in the sense that we see particular types of speech that is speaking for progressive values or secular values, sort of saying that no, actually that is the speech that's communal. So, the way it's applied is really important as well.
So the next question says, and while I'm asking the questions, if there's anyone who is,
कैसे क्या इसको जा रहा वहाँ नहीं जा रहा है ये आईपी इसी का है क्या ऊपर का नहीं है ना ये आईपी हेलो 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 राहुल आ रहा आवाज राहुल 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 वॉइस नहीं आ रहा है फार एंड का वॉइस नहीं आ रहा है हेलो 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 हेलो
And we know how much debt they're in. They were getting debt to equity ratio of 80-20, and in the good times 90-10. So, but that's not seen in any way as subsidy, as welfare, or any of that. And there's no definite guarantee. Of course, the argument by banks made is that it's far less remunerative to lend to farmers. But if you look at the state of infrastructure debt today, I mean, when we now are finally waking up to the fact that when we talk about the economy slowing down, and we've gone past all the excuses of legislative hurdles like land acquisition and all of that, now we're finally waking up to the fact that stressed assets, bad debt, stuck in all these companies is perhaps a huge reason. So, I mean, these are just some examples to point out that I think there is a lot of mythology surrounding the idea of welfare, the idea of subsidies, and as I said, for me, it was a learning experience to be able to discover that, but which is not the final word on it, and as I said, I'm happy to be corrected on it, but that's my point.
Okay, if you could, thanks, Srinivasan. If you could come to Parth, if you could just talk a little bit about, you know, we've heard the phrase welfare state spoken about a lot. Is there such a thing as a welfare state, or are there just certain welfare interventions? Has there ever been, or do you think now, will there ever be a welfare state? Or there are certain interventions that work or don't work? How would you define this? Because even here, the term welfare state was mentioned in the introduction. You work in policy. What is a welfare state? Is there one?
Can you hear me? Okay, good.
then said that I had it all worked out, but I don't think I have it all worked out. But I do have some strong feelings now, having had the privilege in the past 15, 20 years of actually getting out of my comfort zone and of my privileged life. And it is precisely those privileges that allowed me to meet all kinds of people across the country. And I think for me, the most striking thing from all that fieldwork that we have been doing is that what if I was this little girl born in Badmer who is
So thank you for taking the Peak program. We hope you have benefited from the same. Well, it's now time for you to put all your learnings to good use in your professional careers. Carries exciting content and also connects with students across the country. The Alumni Connect is a platform that leverages the experience and the journey of our ex-students in continuous evolution of Times Pro as an institute. Here's the most exciting and eventful part of Times Pro journey thus far. Times Pro held its first annual student convocation on the 9th of July 2016 at the Taj Santa Cruz in Mumbai. While Arnab Goswami was a chief guest, we also had the